Here's a trip to my local Goodwill store. Whenever I start thrifting, I always go to this section first. I don't know why. It's not really my favorite, but I kind of just like to get it out of the way. So, the first thing I look at is if anything jumps out at me, anything that's different or unique, and I found this. Always check the sold listings on eBay. There were kind of some promising numbers, so there were 2 of these plates. I did end up buying them both, even though the numbers were all over the place. I think they're gonna sell, so that was that. And then I kind of checked around to see if anything else was interesting that caught my eye. I do typically look for things that are just different or unique, things that stand out. I don't really have a method for this. A lot of times I'll just flip over, look, see what the name is. If it sounds familiar, I'll look it up. If not, I'll just kind of keep going. I probably passed up a bunch of stuff. Anyway, there were these saucers. They did kind of look unique. I looked them up. They did have some sold listings. But you can see that one at the end for $14.99 was just the saucers. So those really were not that great. I do tend to glance over the coffee mug section just to see if anything looks interesting or promising. There are certain ones, certain brands, certain styles that I look for. I will go ahead and pop up a few of those so you can see why I don't pass up coffee mugs. This is just a little random section in my local store. It's kind of where they put things before they're out on the actual shelves. Our kids section is really small. I do always go to the toys section to look for games or certain vintage items. Something I always look at is puzzles. Even if they're used, I know it's tricky because you have to make sure they have all the pieces, but here's why. So I never really pass up the puzzles. If there is one that is open, I don't count the pieces. However, if it was a lot of money, like, I don't know, over $100, I guess I probably would count the pieces. I did see this game. I knew it was vintage, obviously, from just the look of it. So I kind of wanted to see what it was all about. It did look like something actually from my childhood time frame. It looked like all the pieces were there, so I did look it up to see. They had some good solds, but then they had some really low ones. So in the end, I don't think it was a mistake to leave it. So I didn't buy this one. And I put it back. Again, our toy section is kind of small in this particular Goodwill, but I did just kind of look at a few other things, and I did see something that I was surprised about. Ew, no! I mean, really? Like, that's something that goes in your mouth. Anyway, I kind of looked through the rest of the section. This could have been good if it was new, but all the pieces were all over the place. I had no idea if it was a complete set or not. So that's the entire toy section. They do have some kids shoes there. Also, sometimes I'll get shoes. It just depends on the situation. So if you would like to take a guess where I am located, it is obviously Louisiana. If you're new to the channel and you don't know me personally, maybe you could take a guess. I'll give you a hint. It is South Louisiana. So next I went ahead and started looking through clothes. I don't really like to sell clothes on eBay. However, I have stumbled across enough really good sales and really profitable pieces that I don't ever want to pass up clothing. So I kind of just go quickly through everything. Here is a money-making mama fact. When you see these racks come out, you need to stop what you're doing and head that way. It's really the only advantage you have when thrifting. You'll get to be one of the first people to look through them. You never know what you're going to find. Catching items before they hit the sales floor is one of the very best ways to get the deals first. There were a few things on this rack I considered looking up, but in the end, I don't think I actually got anything off of the racks themselves. So next I headed over to the tank tops. So being in South Louisiana, there's a ton of tank tops, this whole side, that whole side. And as you can tell, my store likes to color coordinate things. I did look up that Alice in Wonderland shirt. It was not really worth anything. Time for another money making mama fact. So when you see these little dry cleaning attachments, I tend to pay a little more attention to those because typically items that are dry cleaned tend to be more expensive. More tank tops on this side. It isn't really the most glamorous section, but I saw this and thought it was funny. Ruby Ribbon is a really good brand for tank tops, but that's an actual, I don't know, like a advertising shirt or marketing shirt. They really make, under garments. So I did look it up to kind of see if this was something that was worth picking up. So here's our men's shoe section. They do have these shoes. They are new. We've had them for quite a few months at our store. They want $9.99 for them. So I looked them up. They had some solds, but at the $9.99 price, I just didn't think it was worth it. So the next thing I was interested in were these men's Coogee jeans. They were a larger size. Very unique with the embellishments. So I had a hard time trying to figure out exactly this exact style. I eventually found one pair on eBay. I ended up not getting this pair. It was $16.99, but it was half off because today was green half off day. I ended up not getting these jeans. They were not in perfect condition. However, Coogee tends to bring a good amount if you can find them in great condition and a good size. One section that I never pass up are the DVDs. And I know some of you are probably thinking that's an outdated form of media, but here's why I don't pass it up. Complete sets do well, even if they're pre-owned. There's lots of rare DVDs out there or things that are not in production anymore that people are really willing to pay good money for. So as I was leaving, I passed back through the houseware section and I noticed this candle. And it was one of those jewelry candles, which I've always wanted. And I really want to get it for myself personally. Even though it's $3.99, I still ended up buying this. As I was at the register and they were bagging my items, I noticed this Thai Beanie Baby pelican, which I never buy Thai Beanie Babies, but something in my mind made me remember seeing it, maybe on a video in the past, this particular pelican character. So I didn't have time to look it up, and he was 25 cents, so I just threw him in there and grabbed him on my way out. So I got in the car and immediately looked up our little pelican friend, and I knew I remembered this was a hot item, this particular guy. So I started doing a little research to try and see why was he so popular. And it turns out a lot of the listings said errors, as in there was a mistake somewhere on it. So I did a little further digging to try and, see what exactly the errors were. And I ended up finding out that the mistakes were actually on the tag. So there were an extra, things like an extra space. There was just some things that were not correct. There was a misspelling, I think, on one of them. So after reading about the mistakes and realizing that was the reason why they had some of those $1,000 sales, I, of course, had to go to the trunk and see if mine had that. And if you did not catch this when I was making the purchase, my Beanie Baby does not have the tag still on it. Therefore, there are no errors because the errors were on the hard tag, not this soft one. But while I was putting together this video, I remember that it said tush tag and it had some errors on there too. So when I pulled it up, I actually do have some errors. So what do you think? Do you think this is worth money? I will definitely be listing it with lots of pictures. If you would like to stay updated on the status of this little guy and whether or not I made any money on him, definitely subscribe to stay on top of the updates. I can't wait to find out. These are the things that are super exciting for me. The unknown. Are you going to make money? Are you going to make $1,000? Or are you going to make $1? That's how it is with eBay, and that's how it is being a reseller. And it's one of the reasons why I really enjoy it. So until next time.